can't see a house, but I can see the lot. I mean, I think if they went out there and they were comfortable with the shed, I think it's probably in an okay spot, especially if it's going in existing lawn.
Yeah. I think it's fine personally.
I would agree with that.
I'm still trying to locate it on the map here.
It doesn't show on Google, Bill.
Even even in 2019?
No, this was done before that, I think. So.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, it's done subsequent to the map.
We were on the site, and if it's near the house, I don't think there's an issue.
Okay, yeah, because I think the wetland was way out back, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
And wasn't it on the abutter property?
It was
No.
the problem was the barn was too close to the abutter's property. That's what the problem was. We checked it for wetlands.
Yeah. Well, there are some wetlands, and Wenda had been concerned, but if she was satisfied after the site visit, then I'm pretty confident in her abilities.
Yeah, she was satisfied.
She's very conservative about wetlands, so if
Yep.
she was okay, then
All right. John, the only remark I can make, of course, and you've probably heard this 100 times, are you sure this is going to be on your property?
Oh, yeah. Well, the garage was, remember, I didn't do a permit on the garage, so you have to come
It
out.
wasn't,
and
it was a
verify.
building.
It wasn't on
Okay.
my neighbor's.
All
Yeah.
right, okay. All right, I think wetlands are not an issue, so I move we approve this without any conditions.
I'll
second.
I'll second.
Second.
Any further commentary? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No? Okay, you're all set, John. Thank you.
Appreciate permit with you.
Yeah,
Oh,
Ed's gonna,
I
Ed
got
will
that.
sign on behalf of.
All right,
the
Bill. Bill, yeah, you don't have your permit, I can sign it for you.
I did a copy of it and I dropped it off today.
That's fine. If Bill, if you can notify, the building inspector,
Copy. It's in there.
No, he wants to sign it.
Oh, right, copy.
Yeah.
that's fine. If Bill, if you can, email Greg and let him know that 107 R, Carver Street for the pool is approved. At your convenience.
Yeah, I usually talk to Greg the day after the meeting. Yeah, I'll talk to Greg about it, Ed. Very good. Thank you. Okay. Okay,
Thank
Amanda,
you. Take care.
you're up. I'm back in the woodwork here.
Okay. Were there any other building permits today?
Yes, Amanda. Andy Marion, he has a question for us regarding Bachelor Street. He has two lots that he wanted to start clearing to construct a
Okay.
house. And he asked if the lots were within the 100-foot buffer zone. We asked him to attend tonight, and I see he's in the room, so.
Okay. I think we want to do a site visit for this one. I'm feeling pretty good about it, but I think it would be good to have our feet on the ground just because there are wetlands on both sides and we want to
Right.
confirm that they're not too close. And it looks like the sites are both up on a hill, so any activities there could wash down.
Well,
And
Amanda,
depending on the proximity.
he's in the room, Amanda, so if we could let him talk first, and then I think what you're suggesting is a good idea, but.
Okay.
Andy, if you could open up your mic.
Yep,
Hopefully.
it should be open.
Okay. So did you have anything to tell us about the project?
So I'm planning on building a single family house. The driveway is going to be roughly 40 feet from, it would be the east property line along the Kestrel Land Trust
So it's
area.
Yeah, it's on lot 12 then, it's not on lot 11?
Correct.
There's two lots there that you identified,
Correct. Lot 12 is the smaller one.
and that's the one you're talking about tonight.
That's correct. The driveway will be along the, on lot 12,
Okay,
with the house being setback on lot 11, basically.
Okay, so you will use both lots.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Anything to add to that? I guess Amanda is offering some guidance there. I can let her finish what she started saying.
Go ahead, Amanda. Yeah.
Okay, Amanda.
Okay. I think we could just do a site visit, and if we don't see any other further concerns, I think it should be fine. It looks like it's all uphill. The extent of clearing all the way to the edges, you know, depending on if the wetlands do go farther than our maps, those are never quite accurate. That might be a little more of a concern, but just based on a preliminary review, it seems like it will be okay. I just think a site visit would be a good idea first.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I do not intend on doing a complete clear of the area.
Okay.
I'm roughly doing a 30-foot cut for the driveway,
Mhm.
and then maybe an acre or so at the most around the house area.
Gotcha. Yeah. Did you have a time that would be good for a site visit?
Afternoons are usually best for me.
Okay.
Any weekends?
We typically do weekends, so
Yep, I can do weekends.
maybe this week in the 17th.
Saturday at
Okay,
9 a.m.
Yep, I can make that work.
Okay, great.
Good.
Even 9 a.m.? That's okay?
Yep.
Okay, just want to double check.
Okay,
Excellent. Thank you.
we'll see you there.
Thank you very much.
You know, by the way, guys, and Andy, hold on here. You know, we're supposed to be charging folks $75 for site visits. Have we been collecting 75 for site visits? I think we ought to get our bookkeeping in order on that sort of thing. So Andy, it'll be $75 payable to the town of Granby for the site visit.
Okay,
Okay, and if you could drop that off at Kathy's desk before the end of the week, that would be great. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Uh,
that's the only
Are there
one
any-
that's the only one I had for you, Amanda.
Okay. Anyone else here for a building permit tonight? Hearing and seeing no one, I'm going to continue with I guess I will continue with administrative duties because we have to wait till 7:30 to open our first hearing. So anyone have any commentary? No? Okay, let's post the next meeting. It will be for August 10th at 7 p.m.
Okay, I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Okay. Aye.
Aye. Okay, approve the minutes from the last meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those?
Yes.
Did anyone have any changes?
If you could give me.
Yeah, sorry, I haven't looked at them either. I actually just got it from work.
Let's take a quick, Dave, could we take a quick look? Do you mind?
Oh, I don't mind at all. I don't mind at
Yeah,
all.
let's spend 3 or 4 minutes just looking at it quickly. This used to open in the preview tab. For some reason now I have to actually download it before it will open,
Oh,
which is annoying. Holy cow, 4 pages? Wow.
I get a little verbose.
No, no worries, Dave. You know, by the way, as we go through this, that if you've driven on Pleasant Street by that Beaver Dam, beaver deceiver situation, it's working beautifully.
Yep.
Dave DeRocher took the dam structure out the other day with a sources or control, put in a temporary cage, and there's a permanent cage coming in, I think, in a few weeks. So it's working nicely.
Water level went down nice.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I think they actually have to get a formal permit. They're not out of the woods yet. They have to go for a formal permit, I believe.
So I don't have any comments on the minutes.
My drop in.
Okay, I'm good with that. I'm good with the minutes.
Anyone else need some more time? I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Hell no. And the final over to Kathy.
Okay, great. All right, so next, number 4, do we have any bills to pay? Ed, you're over at the office for the building. No?
Yeah, let me go through that. I didn't see anything here in the correspondence,
Okay.
so.
Did you see any financial account updates?
As of yet, no.
Okay.
Let me take a look.
I mean, I'm sure you have a couple years worth of documents there.
Hope you took your drop. Yep, good deal.
Anyone
I
have
have
any
a financial statement here dated June 8th, 2021. I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, I was just moving on to the next one in case anyone had an education while you were digging.
We have, I have a correspondence here, so I can read that in regarding 61A property.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just writing down received on this financials. I have a correspondence received, it's dated July 1st, 2021, notification of conversion of use of chapter 61A property. Landowner is Leonard LaFlamme et al. Reference, and it talks about area to be converted, 4.74 acre property known as the premise. Goes on to say, ladies and gentlemen, notice is hereby given by Leonard E. Laflamme of 130 Bruce A. Laflamme, 136 South Street, Granby, Mass. And Mark L. Laflamme of 138 South Street, Granby, Mass. Just the telephone numbers pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 60A, Section 14 of the intent to convert premises described below. Landowner will continue to use the balance of property identified in horticultural land tax lien records in the Hampden County Registry of Deeds for agricultural land use, and therefore said balance of land shall remain in 61A. We appreciate the town's prompt response and whether it's desired to exercise its right of first refusal in connection with the conversion of premises prior to the expiration of the town's right to do so. So I'll put this around. And this is on South Street. I'm assuming it's down near the Apple Farm.
Okay.
And so,
Ed, he did some on West Street. He did the 3 lots across from Jennifer. Were those not in 61A?
well, this is on East Street. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's those. These are the 3. Yeah, these are the 3 lots that were recently perked or up for sale across from Jennifer Drive.
It could
Between the
well
old-
be, yes.
Yeah, between Jim Tromke's son's place, the Maplewood Kennel, and Al Andrechuk's house, number 48, the guy that runs Food 101. It's those 3 lots in there.
My understanding, I don't know if anybody, commissioners can correct me. I thought 61A, that has to be a bona fide offer from a buyer. If there's no offer, what is the first right of refusal? I don't know if they're talking about.
He might be selling it to his own development corporation because I sit on the land acquisition committee with Brian
Sure.
Hoschild and Tromke. And we have a couple of these every year that we have to consider buying. We haven't bought one yet, but the town does have a right of first refusal. But you're right, Ed, there's got to be a financial
given-
number associated with it. You're right there.
Without saying.
God, Ed, you can't.
I've been made an offer of $1,000. So
Signal seems to be deteriorating and.
Ed, I
and-
can't understand what you're saying. Yeah.
I thought it was my internet.
you know,
No,
I
It's
don't
not
know.
you, Amanda.
anyway, Ed, I think we'll probably bring that up at the land acquisition committee, but thanks for bringing that to our attention. Thank you.
Yeah.
See, this is why it's troublesome for us to be.
So if
meeting
anybody
with
wants
the
to make a
town
comment on the 61A, can you hear me?
No,
Well, not really. You're in and out.
Is my internet
You were
working?
out for like a minute solid.
we can't understand what you're saying.
If you get closer to the Wi-Fi transceiver, that is, if you move to the rear of the room, you should have a better signal. Maybe that might work.
I'm on top of it.
Yeah, but no, I
I'm
think
on
it's
top
over.
of the,
It's at the bottom of the stairway.
Oh,
well, I can't go that far. My phone is charging.
Okay, okay. And anyway, very good.
Okay.
I'll,
Yeah, that's what we're
take the
looking at.
video off. That might help the thing.
Yeah, it should. Okay. And were there any other bills to pay? Sorry, you had to stop to start reading things, Ed.
I think Emily might want to chime in. Emily, you caught up with your billing?
Good evening, Bill. No, we still have that one outstanding invoice from Eversource.
Okay, and I think we filtered that through Mr. Nally and Kathy. So
That
that
was
should be in process.
Did we vote on it? Do we need to vote on it or anything like that?
I believe we already did.
Okay, good. I just,
Yeah. Okay,
if
no,
we could
good
expedite
point,
the
though.
process, I was gonna
Yeah,
say we
no,
could
no,
vote on it right now.
No, good point, good point.
So one more minute, and then we can open our hearings. Any education, outreach, plant of the week?
But I think plant of the week is everything. Everything is growing like gangbusters with this rain. This is the
Yeah.
dreariest, coolest, wettest July I've ever seen. I've been running the heat in the house all day here, believe it or not.
Haven't gotten-
Okay, any news or announcements?
I don't have anything in the other correspondence. If you want, got a forest cutting plan. Fairview Sportsman's Club.
Which one?
Got several forest cutting plans, because obviously we haven't been able to access these files.
Yeah,
So I've got the location on Carver Street, 170 acres. Landowners at Fairview Sportsman's Club.
Who's the forester?
John Clark. Licensed timber harvester is not listed. The plan preparer is John Clark, Jefferson, Mass.
Mhm. What's the town?
Jefferson, Massachusetts, 01522.
I've never heard of that town. I thought I've heard of every town in the state. I've never heard of that town.
I have not either. So it's in the 508 area code.
Yeah.
Probably,
There's
probably a village of a town that we know of, and
I
kind
know.
of like
There's
Florence and
what is it?
Northampton.
350 or 361 towns in the Commonwealth, and that's a new one on me.
Also
all
got
right,
another-
well, sorry.
Go ahead. I had an amendment to a forest cutting plan dated 2/21. Mount Holyoke College. Bittersweet
Oh.
Lane.
Gotcha.
That's okay.
Oh,
Cold.
All she wrote.
Oh, yeah.
Can you hear me now at least?
yeah,
Yeah, your
Okay,
audio is much better, Ed.
I'm going to keep the video off because obviously the video is just drawing too much.
Mhm.
mhm.
Jefferson's in Holden, Mass. It's over by Worcester.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's a village within Holden?
Holden, yeah, it's part of Holden.
I gotcha. Okay.
Just gonna look up Bittersweet Lane real quick.
Up on West Street at the end near South Alley, near the golf course.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay,
Okay,
that's Mount Holyoke property?
It could be, I'm not sure. It said it was, but
It's probably for
Okay.
the orchards, for the golf course.
Yeah, the
Um,
13th hole.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Anyways, we are at 7:33, so we can open our public hearings. Bachelor Street lot that we permitted last year. Do we need to do anything further with that, or aren't we just waiting for them to get back to us when they've
well,
done something?
Samantha Herbert is here tonight,
Okay.
so she had a question for us. Bill.
great.
Samantha, if you're there.
Hi, yes, I'm here. So I got these signed or whatever stamped order of conditions back from the deed office. So can I just drop that off at the town hall, or do I have to do something else with it?
So
You
you
can drop it off to Kathy, and I think she'll make a photocopy of it for our records, and you can keep that one for yours.
Okay, I'll copy it and
fine.
I'll drop off a copy
Yeah,
for you
okay.
guys.
So
Can,
Sam,
I-
this is the signed document?
is that an order of conditions that were signed?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the signed order of conditions. I submitted it to the deed office and they mailed it back to me.
Okay, the registry of deeds, okay.
Good,
Yep.
because I think you had to chase Wenda around to get a signature, so I think you've got your necessary signatures.
Oh, yes, yeah, Dave took care of
Wonderful,
that, and then
wonderful.
I submitted it and everything's all set.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, so I'll make a photocopy and I'll drop it off at the town hall for you guys.
Okay, thank you
should
so
be able
much.
to access that- should be able to access that online.
Yes, but sometimes they're hard to track down, and having it in the file will make people's life very easy. Like if in the future she's trying to close it out, or if anything
Right.
comes up,
That's
just
fine.
knowing what book and page.
Or for my benefit, what would be Samantha's next step with this committee? Does she have anything further, or can we remove the project from the agenda, or?
Well,
Bill, or-
I think you all wanted to come out when John Kupinski does the final driveway staking so that you could ensure that the everything that he's done is in the right place. And then I think by then we'll have the majority of the silt fence completed also. So I think you all wanted to check that out as well. And you have to sign off on the permanent markers, I think, too, before we can start actually
that's
doing
what
work.
I recall that in our discussion. Thank you.
Right, so we're doing the permanent markers this weekend and starting the silt fence, and I have to schedule with John, but when John comes out, I'll contact you guys and try to come up with a day that works for you too.
Great. Okay, Samantha, thank you.
Okay,
Wonderful.
In response to your question, Dave, we can take her off our agenda, but she will be, staying in touch with us as this project
Right.
moves forward.
right. Okay, real
Yep.
good.
All right, well, thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank
You too. So next item on the agenda is the continued project of 1650347 filed by William Chapdelaine for proposed construction of a single-family house and associated work within BVW buffer zone with regards to Lot 1, West Street, and known as Map 3D1 in the town of Granby. And I know we have Emily here on our behalf. Who is here for this project?
Thank you,
Mr.
AJ.
Crane. Mr.
Hi.
AJ Crane. Hey, AJ.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. Chapdelaine is unavailable tonight, but I'm speaking on his behalf.
Okay.
Mr. Bill Chapdelaine, not Mr. Ed Chapdelaine. He can speak on it for himself right there.
Sure. Again, I'm not related to Mr. Chapdelaine, William Chapdelaine.
For the record.
Yep.
Okay, Amanda, take it away.
Did we want an update on the other end, or I guess I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think, AJ, why don't you give us your applicant's final statement, if you will, and then we'll go through our folks, and then I think there might be some folks out in the audience that might want to speak as well. So the floor is yours, AJ.
Okay. This project, as everyone on this call knows, or sitting wherever you're sitting knows, has been continued a number of times. We've made numerous changes to the plans. It's a buffer zone project, and we're not that close to any resource area. I feel like we've done everything you asked. We've gone through 2 separate peer reviews at 2 separate times. That totally different items were brought up, months after the first meeting and the second meeting. And we recently addressed all the comments in very short order. Two letters from our wetland consultant, Heather Comey, we forwarded the other day. I hope you all had a chance to review them. We made changes to the plans, again, which were forwarded a couple of days ago, and satisfied what I think is everything that we could possibly satisfy. Heather obviously knows a lot more about this than I do, but she's not reachable right now. I can try to call her if you guys have a very specific question. But she's attended every meeting. We've bent over backwards here, and I feel like these 2 lots are buildable. We're not going to damage anything from an environmental resource standpoint, bother any of the neighbors. I don't know what else to say other than that. We're going to be looking to close the hearing one way or another, both hearings. It's 2 separate items, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
talking about lot 1 right now.
Okay, so we would be, this kind of statement goes for both, so you don't have to ask me again. But
Okay.
we'll be looking to close both hearings, and however it goes, we'll move forward from there. Thank you.
Okay, AJ, thank you. Thank you. If I may, shall I turn it to our peer reviewer, our technical peer reviewer at this point for commentary? Emily, if you would please, take 5 to 7 minutes if you would.
Certainly, Bill. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would, agree with AJ. This is a notice of intent that has gone through multiple site plan revisions by the applicant, and two sets of peer review comments, one based on an original application, and of course, the latter based after several revisions. So naturally, there were new comments because there were new revisions. As it stands, the commission may recall that during the last public hearing, it was articulated that there were certain items that the applicant and the representative should address to attempt to expedite the process. The commission paused and clearly made those requests, and also worked diligently to set up a time frame, acknowledging that it's a busy season for all folks, Ms. Coleman and myself as well, and wanting to be able to keep the project on task. The first thing that you might notice in the latest response from Ms. Coleman dated July 10th is an acknowledgement that there were issues with that scheduled time frame. And I would just like to say that I echo her frustration. We had some pretty significant deadlines set up to allow for our review. I reached out to the commission on a couple of occasions, inquiring about my authorization to proceed. And I basically didn't receive it until the deadline of my submittal. So that put my review period out 2 weeks from authorization, and really just diminished the time that Ms. Comey had to respond. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but I think that the commission should be aware as the governing body, because as a whole, all parties involved with this had worked very diligently during the last public hearing to set that up. And something went awry. So what you have as a basis of that is a fairly quick turnaround in submittals. We had a June submittal from Ms. Comey, and then that was followed by my early July peer review comments. And I just want to make sure that everyone has the most recent response, which is a July 10th letter from Heather Comey. So does everyone on the commission have that July 10th letter?
Yes, I did read it.
And does everyone on the commission have the most recent revised site plans? Those were emailed, I believe, yesterday.
I have not seen the revised plan. This is Ed Chaplin talking. I have not seen the revised plan, so I'm not sure if I received it by email or not, but I just went through my emails and I did not see it.
So I received it on an email yesterday that I believe the commission was copied on. That is the site plan that the commission should be looking at this evening. So a good next step would just to be pause and make sure that all of our members have the most recent site plan. I think Mr. Crane has articulated that they're looking to close the hearing. So any action the commission takes is going to be on that more recent site plan.
I don't think I have that.
Emily, who sent the site plan?
Heather sent the site plan.
Okay, let me search Heather.
I see the response letter from Heather. I see your
Yeah.
comments. And Emily, I see your stuff. But I don't see a plan attachment to any of these. I see it's all like a Word doc that's PDF'd.
There
Yes.
was I'm sorry, there was two separate emails. One contained the response letters and the other contained the most recent plan revisions. The people that were copied into the plan revisions are Kathy Leonard, Emily Stockton, Mark Stinson, William Shaheen, and Mr. Chaplain himself. Bill Chaplain. Ed, I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep doing that.
Oh, no problem. That's fine, Andy. That's fine.
So that's who Heather sent the plans to.
All right, so we only have one commissioner that has physically received it by email. Am I
Right.
correct?
That's what it sounds like, Ed.
Yes.
That was,
Okay.
that was yesterday. We only had
I understand. Yep,
Stockton, yeah.
yep, understand.
It looks like it was the same people were copied into the letters.
I received those letters from Kathy Leonard, which
Right. So,
she's forwarding it to us.
right, which is the right way to do it, right? So that should have been, the plans also should have been forwarded
Yeah,
yesterday.
I did receive two emails, I believe. Both documents. Let me go back and check that email, maybe. Let's see what it says.
Yeah, and we put those together in extremely short order, as Ms. Stockton mentioned. The period for our review was cut way down, and thank you for saying that, Emily.
Amanda, Ed, and Kevin, you should have the plan set as of a minute ago.
Hey, let me go back.
Usually takes a minute for it to load.
There wasn't a lot of changes. It lists the changes in the letter. Like we added
Yeah, there's a couple of grade changes. There's a couple of elevation changes, and that was about it.
Yeah, we added a 99 contour. We moved a little bit to change it to a 5-to-1 slope. I mean,
Yep.
some, not real earth-shattering things in any of these revisions.
And the date of the plan we're supposed to be looking at is July 9th, 21. Is that correct?
Yeah, July 9. Yep, correct.
Okay, great.
Right.
We got it.
You got
Yeah,
it, Dave?
I have lot one from.
Okay, yeah, they
So,
have funny nomenclature. They're HPSC 5565 and 5564.
HPS is Hewlett Packard scan, I believe.
Is that what that is? Okay.
Yeah, that's just a file that the scanner gives it, that's all.
Okay. Anyway, I echo Andy's thoughts because there's a couple of elevation and contour changes, very minor in nature. But there was an effort to correct one of the flaws in the document.
So now that everyone has the site plan available to them, again, this is Emily Stockman speaking. I thought it would just be easiest if we all had that plan in front of us, as I just went over a summary. So one of the comments that I had real quick was that there had been some discussion during the last hearing questioning whether or not the driveways were going to have that sloped approach. And Heather did clarify that that element of the grading is correct. That's how they're proposing to construct the driveway. That's what they're asking for permission for. There had been, as has already been discussed, a question about that 99 elevation. And if you look on the site plan, they have adjusted that contour, so it is now appropriately tying into the existing grade. We had some of the comments were just repeat comments from the initial review, just asking the applicant to take another look at footprint and location of the deck and patio, and if there could be any sort of a relocation to minimize impact to wetlands, to the buffer zone associated with the wetland. And an acknowledgement that the commission doesn't have a final architectural plan before them right now. What the applicant is seeking is just the approval of an approximate building envelope, and that the commission should be aware that certainly as the details of an architectural design develop, that could have impact on the exact location, amount of impervious surface, and potentially grading. And if there are substantial changes to the plan, that would trigger the requirement for an amended order of conditions.
Can I add something there? Is that okay? These building envelopes are, the homes are certainly going to be smaller. This is a, worst case scenario thing which will give us, an easier time, grading to a something that's smaller than that box. So if anything, it'll get better. So, but we understand that any substantial changes we'll have to refile or come before you again. Sorry, Emily, go ahead.
I was going to wait to ask Ed or Bill's permission to speak, but I think we've lost Bill. So, let me pause just a moment there.
Oh. Oh, no, there he is.
Okay. One of the items that Ms. Comey points out in her response is the statement that town council was supposed to be exploring any restrictions on the property deeds. I believe there have been some correspondence between town council and Mass DEP. Bill, do we have an update from town council on that?
Yeah, give me 1 minute if you would, please. I spoke with Brian O'Toole at length over the past several days. He's conducted a rather lengthy research of the properties in question, adjacent properties, deed documents, plans, talked to other land use specialists, and his ultimate opinion, and I think he used the phrase substantial change in use, but the bottom line is the erroneous or the seemingly erroneous declaration made in 1998. If it went to court, that is the applicant versus the town of Granby, it's very likely that we would lose that case. So he strongly recommends that we not pursue that avenue. That's ultimately what's happened. Now, I know there's some other issues involving setting of monuments and no work zones on the property. That's a separate issue, but the issue involving the riparian status of the stream, it's essentially determined that it is indeed an intermittent stream at this point in time. And even though it was called out erroneously as intermittent or perennial back in 98, that's a fight probably not worth for the town to get involved in. So the bottom line is that's the way it is. It's indeed going to be deemed intermittent. So this notice of intent, I believe, stands as presented to the commission. We have to act on these two NOIs. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Do any of the commissioners have any follow-up questions about town council before I move on to some other points?
I did have a follow-up comment. I guess when I had been interested in getting feedback from council, I had been more interested in the effectiveness of, or like the permanence of those monuments and the protected zone that they were designed to place, not the riverfront area in and of itself, but the do not touch, protected area 100 feet from the intermittent or perennial stream, regardless of its status, I don't know if that protective zone is still in place. And that is my concern more than, you know, if
So,
someone wants to call it one name or another.
You see what Amanda's bringing up an interesting point, because I think the classic perennial intermittent status has been now decided. However, Amanda is now looking deeper beyond the intermittent status in the actual entity or system that was put in place in 98, namely the no work zone, whether or not it was tied to a stream or not. The commission called in a no work zone in 98. And I think that's a legitimate question, Amanda.
And also there was some other things and other buffering projects, I guess, around that parcel as a whole, like the large section where the stream runs through. And there seemed to be notes on past documents indicating that that was a protected area for like flood storage and like water quality protection. So those are the things I just don't want to step on by us approving
Okay.
this. If
Okay.
those things were tied historically to the development of the town as a whole. So that's just my only real lingering concerns, I guess, is the way to put it.
Was Amanda, on the, this is Ed Chaplin, Amanda, on your research for the lots to the west of this lot that's being presented today,
Mhm.
was that in the minutes and the discussion in the minutes that the applicant and 90-something had agreed to that? Based on that the 100-foot, at least from the intermittent stream or whatever it was called, be preserved?
I didn't find the actual, I can't remember what I stumbled upon. It was old plans maybe,
Okay.
that referenced certain things. So there was just certain language I stumbled across on the registry of deeds, but I have not thoroughly investigated it. And I don't know if it was ever accurately recorded. Does that make sense? So sometimes people could have a conservation restriction, but if it's never recorded, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
So if it was a protected zone, I just want to kind of see if there is any kind of threads in there that we should make sure aren't in place and we're not overruling them.
And if I could interject, and Amanda, Brian O'Toole's argument was he was seeking certificates of compliance on all those lots. And there seems to be several that were partially signed off. You know, when we do a Form 8B, there's a partial or a complete sign off. They were all partial sign offs. There was no complete sign off. And I think if there were a complete sign off, which I don't think there was, that would give more credibility to that 1998 declaration, but they were all partial sign offs.
But oftentimes the commission falsely issues partials because there's a perpetual condition. That's like a common misconception of the way things do it. Instead of writing it as a in perpetuity condition, sometimes they would just issue a partial because they're like, oh yeah, the work was done right, but there's still this limitation forever.
Right. And I think on the Form 8B, there was a line for conditions in perpetuity, and that was not filled in. So it was kind of on a technicality, but again, we can revisit that. We can, again, we still have an open hearing. We can still discuss this evening. But thanks for bringing that point up. It's a good point.
Okay, so the other thing, Emily, you brought up in your report to the commission was something about the grading and the buffer zone and the steepness and putting restrictions on for fertilization and all pesticides within that 100-foot buffer zone. You had recommended some items be to address the slope and maybe put on deed restrictions for fertilization.
Yes.
Pesticide control.
Yes, that's correct, Ed. So I did provide some commentary on drainage and watershed associated with the proposed work. Ms. Comey is absolutely correct that single-family homes do not trigger a formal DEP stormwater analysis by an engineer to show compliance with the stormwater standards. However, drainage and runoff in general terms is certainly within the purview of the commission's authority when reviewing work in buffer zone. So I did provide some commentary on that. Also, if the commission were to issue an order of conditions approving the project on lot 1, I provided you with some science-based data and recommended conditions to make sure that the buffer zone's ability to support the protected resource area was not diminished to the point where there was an adverse impact on the resource area. This also harkens back to some of Ms. Comey's commentary. She's absolutely correct. This is a buffer zone project. Unlike resource areas under the regs, buffer zones do not have a clear set of performance standards. Instead, the commission is given the somewhat discretionary guidance language under 1053-1, which just speaks in general terms about proximity, topography, and the preservation of natural vegetation. So because the buffer zone doesn't have the clear performance standards, in order to uphold their responsibility, a commission certainly is in a position to look at science-based resources to help in vetting those buffer zone impacts. And that's what I was assisting with in this last round of comments. So,
Emily, question for you, Emily, please. Would you consider the MACC buffer zone guidance document a science-based resource?
So the nice thing about the document that was put out by MACC in 2019 is that it was an effort where they compiled a number, hundreds of scientific studies, which they completely cite in the document. And they organize them under the framework of the Wetlands Protection Act and the regulations. So it allows the commission to have sort of a quick guidance with a substantial amount of supported scientific literature behind it, rather than having to go out and hunt up 400 individual studies.
Okay, but you would also recognize that that document is not formally endorsed by DEP or endorsed within the regulations.
No, it is a guidance. The only thing that we have under the regulations is 1053 1, which,
Okay.
and the language there.
Okay, thank you.
So
Okay,
Ed,
Emma-
back to your original question or statement, yes, there are a number of recommended special conditions for the commission to consider should they move forward with the permit issuing the project on lot 1.
Okay. Thank you, Emily.
Okay, Emily, thank you for your assistance. So, Amanda, I think we should go to the commission for comment now. So why don't you go first, if you would, please?
I do not believe I have any further comments, aside from agreeing that putting restrictions on the pesticides or whatever we can within the buffer zone are definitely things I am 100% on board with. And also looking at those permanent markers and making sure that the extent of work remains the permanent limit of activities, so that there's no further encroachment into those resource areas if we were to move forward. Those are all my
Okay,
thoughts.
Okay, thank you. Dave?
I have no further comments to add, Bill.
Okay, Kevin?
No comments.
Okay. Ed?
Sure. Amanda's correct with the monumentation. That probably should be installed before the project goes on, because if you remember the Bachelor Street project that we just went through with that, was it Sam Hebert that was just on the phone for Bachelor Street? They're putting the monuments in now. I think that's a responsibility of the applicant to put those in before they try to sell the property. So I think the monuments need to go in first. We really need to talk about fertilizers and pesticides within that buffer zone, because it's just going to add to the, it's going to make its way into the wetlands. It's so close. I'm a little concerned with the grading around in that 50-foot buffer zone, or even within the 100-foot buffer zone. The driveway that's shown there now, my guesstimate is that's probably about a 12% slope driveway coming up to the top. It's extremely steep in my opinion. I think a retaining wall would help the situation to help reduce the slope of the driveway maybe. And AJ has stated that, they'll probably come back with a smaller house. So I think we're going to be revisiting this. If we approve it, we're going to be revisiting this in 6 months or a year, and you'll have probably an architectural rendering of what's going to be put in there. It could be a Cape style house, it could be a raised ranch, it could be a colonial. And I think at that point, in reality, the grading has to be driven by the type of house. But I think the grading in the buffer zone, where people think that we don't have any rights to put restrictions on, I think it's going to change the characteristics of the runoff. Even though I know we have stormwater, we don't have any issues with stormwater, but the slope is increased. It's going to run off faster. It'll start with some rills and some ruts, and eventually you'll have some erosion issues. And we need to also, I need to circle back on this, but the monuments, we need to have a deed restriction if this does get approved in perpetuity of restricting that area, that the landowner today and the landowner 100 years knows that that's a restricted area. So they won't be coming back to the commission in the future to put a swimming pool inside that area, or inside the 25-foot buffer zone, if you will. So we need to put that language in the order of conditions, I think. So, but again, that's for discussion. I'm all set, Bill, with any further comments.
Okay, I'll go. AJ, I know this has been an arduous process for everybody here, and I know we want to close the hearing tonight, but just to rehash, I reviewed the latest peer reviews by Emily. I've reviewed Heather's submittals, done a fine job in getting things done in a timely fashion. One comment on lot 1 is the left image on the plan set's extremely confusing to us. It's a septic system only. We should totally discount that for our work, because if you look at the right image, which includes the leach field and the additional fill in concert with the driveway. So the left image on the plan set actually should have been just crossed out. But if we look at the right image, that tells the entire story. And we reviewed Emily's, both of her peer reviews, as I said, and Heather's revised design, the latest of which came through online yesterday. I got a couple of issues. There's still some issues in contouring. They're minor in nature. At most, they would push the fill out on the right-hand side of the property out 8 to 10 feet at most. Because what happens is there's a couple of contours. And if you look at the contouring, I think there's essentially a 2-to-1 slope getting the contour. They don't cross. The contours do not cross, but there's a couple of very steep portions. To make that consistent at 3, 4, 5 to 1, you'd have to pull the fill down the hill a little bit. But again, it's not going to make any more difference than about 8 or 10 feet to the east. So that's still on the table. Buffer zone setbacks, again, in concert with 1053 paragraph 1, which, as Emily said, gives us a lot of leeway in permitting buffer zone projects, believe it or not. The fill, for the most part, is at 6-1, which is 16.7%, 1/6. And I think AJ said some of the fill was now steepened to 5-1 in effort to bring it back away from the edge of the wetland line. The double-edged sword with doing that, at 5-1, you're now at 20% slope. And if you look at the scientific studies referenced in the buffer zone guidebook put out by MACC, which Emily referenced as a scientifically based document, particularly tables, I think, 4 and 6, it does show that pollutants and sediment transport are problematic with any slope steeper than 15%, which is a little shallower than 6-1. It's almost 7-1 slope. So that's a potential bad issue in my opinion. Again, my opinion is slopes that steep, that close to the resource area fail to protect the bordering vegetated wetland. Now, Ed brought up an excellent point, and I echo. I think a possible remedy to the project, AJ, would be to install a retaining wall at the northeast corner of the dwelling, run the wall north toward the street. That would get rid of all the fill on the right side of the property and eliminate that steep slope sloping down toward the wetland. And again, I don't know what it would do to, Ed, you had mentioned a comment about the slope of the driveway being at 12%. Is that still an issue for you?
Well, it appears to be 12%. I can't say for sure exactly if it's 12%, but the contour lines are pretty, it's pretty steep.
Okay.
I don't know if that really is the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission.
That's more of a planning board issue, and I think planning board doesn't control on this sort of project, but that's an excellent point.
Well, there are bylaws for driveways built. I don't know if Granby's adopted them, but typically the steepest, I think, in other communities is 10%.
Yeah, I've seen 8 or 10. I think Granby's a 10% community. You're correct. But again, I think we've offered a remedy, and I think the applicant has declined those opportunities repeatedly. So, and I think Emily had an issue with the porch and the deck as well, being proximate to the edge of the wetland. My opinion is the porch and deck are minor compared with the slope coming off that eastern embankment. So my issue on this particular lot is the eastern fill being a relatively steep fill, and again potentially causing a lot of pollution damage to the nearby resource area. That's just my personal opinion. I'm one of 7 commissioners, and that's my say on this.
I'm going to ask AJ, why have you not looked at retaining walls? I know the building envelope that's on there now is really just a potential area, but in reality, how do you, why did you pick this design and this size and the driveway location? I know the septic system's an issue. You can't put it on the septic side, obviously, but has any other type of building? I mean, what do you kind of see going in there as a builder? You would say, well, this site's perfect for this, or I don't want to put you.
What do you mean? What do I see going in there? A single family house?
Single family house, obviously, for the zoning, but
yeah.
But any architectural detailing, AJ? Have you looked at any architecture for this?
Would this be a raised ranch, maybe? I mean, to me, I'm looking at it. Raised ranch is probably.
We're looking at selling the lots. I'm not building the house.
Okay, so that goes back to my issue with the monuments. So
Yeah,
this project
we're happy to put in permanent monuments.
Right. Exactly. Well, I can appreciate that, AJ, because we've had other developers who didn't, just sold it, and then it was up to the homeowner to do it. And so, but thanks for offering that. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
So AJ, one last time, would you consider putting in a retaining wall to mitigate the issue with the fill?
I guess, but again, I'm not building the house, so just we could put one on the plan, I guess.
But you know what that would do? That would essentially say
Yeah, no, I get
beyond a certain geometric point in space, there would be no artificial fill. Ed, how would you craft that as a surveyor?
Yeah, see, Bill, I think we're coming back and round on this because AJ, they want to sell it, which I can understand. So the person coming into this project, whoever it is, they're gonna, I think we're gonna have to do an amendment to this project if this moves forward.
Yeah,
I mean,
but the thing is, if we
I don't think there's
approve
enough
it,
details. Well, I
if we
understand.
approve it, no, excuse me, if we approve it with the fill on the right-hand side as depicted, and at a later date, we say, no, you can't put that fill in there, they're gonna say, what's the matter with this commission? We approved it with the fill. Now they're saying we can't put in the fill. You know, my thought is if we're gonna say you can't put in the fill, now's the time to do it.
So that fill is more than 50 feet away from the resource area?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at it, Bill, at this point, then you talked about the septic design on the left side of the drawing is controlling the project,
Right.
not the right side.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But I
So
think
you
right
could-
now, I think there's about 30 feet from the edge of the fill on the east side to the resource area. If we correct the contours for some of there's a couple of errors there, it goes down about 22 feet, okay?
Well, Bill,
So if we take the 22 feet, say we want to bring it back to even 40 feet, that means they'd have to have a really small, it'd be like a stone wall select, be a Versalock wall, a nice little decorative wall would do the trick there.
Well, Bill, why can't you just approve the project based upon the septic plan and then the, any proposed contours are gonna have to come back to us in that resource, in that buffer zone?
No, I think that's bad policy because that's kind of what happened on that project in West Springfield. Once you grant any permit for a project, it's very hard to control the project going forward.
I understand that, Bill, but if you're approving the project based on, hey, well, let this project is approved, but no fill above located to such a point to the right, you know, whatever. If the building can be built within as shown on the septic plan, without minimal filling on that area, on the, as depicted on the right hand
You know,
side.
we could do, Ed, and this is something we do on the Board of Health 25 years ago, is we'd be sitting around the table, we'd take a red pencil, we'd start making X's on the plan, everyone would initial the plan, and that would be the plan of record right then and there.
I've seen that done before, yes, I've seen it done, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
that was my
but
only
AJ
comment.
wants to close out tonight, so he does not have the opportunity to redesign this once again.
Understood. Then we have to base it on this plan and
Again, I think it's permittable with the proper use of retaining walls. That's my opinion, solely my opinion.
Emily, I have a question for you, a technical question, I guess. Are we able to delete things on the plan or add things to the plan to make the order of conditions?
So not only are you able to, but it's your responsibility to. When you are reviewing a project and considering it for approval, if it looks like the project can be approved but has to be conditioned to meet the performance standards, then you can impose those conditions in your order of conditions. Similarly, if there's an element of the proposed project that does not meet the regulations and the commission feels can't be conditioned into compliance, you can have a finding of fact that that aspect of the project is not approved. So for example, there could be language in an order stating that the development is approved, but not the grading as Bill has summarized. and a condition that to protect the interests of the act served by the wetlands, that a retaining wall be utilized to preserve the natural vegetation within the buffer zone. And I also like Bill's idea. I have seen that with the red X on these plans, just to save on time, and then just clearly dating that as the final plan of record.
Yeah.
Okay,
And-
thank you. That,
And just quickly, I talked to Mark about this briefly the other day. Only thing we do not want to get involved with, we do not want to physically design the retaining wall or any structural element. We're gonna say you must put one in at a certain location, but we are not going to be responsible for the structural design.
that's my exact point. Yeah, we're not taking responsibility for any design element,
Right,
but,
right.
so I'm comfortable with closing the hearing. At least we can close the hearing and then, vote on, whether it's tonight or whenever, and talk about closing the hearing, and then we need to vote on it within so many days. But at least it gives us an opportunity to either modify, add, delete, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
going back and forth.
That's right. So what we could do is we could close out tonight. We could, again, we're not going to deliberate. We're not going to deliberate, but on our own, we can all think about solutions. When we meet, and it has to be within the next 21 days, when we meet within the next 21 days, we can then vote and condition. And Emily, let me ask your opinion. If we put the retaining wall to the northeast corner of the building, and again, just say up is north, just for the sake of discussion. So the northeast corner of the building has a north leading retaining wall heading toward the street. If we put that in and eliminate all the artificial fill to the east of that line, will that, in your opinion, greatly enhance the performance of the buffer?
In my opinion, that will preserve the buffer zone's ability to perform its functioning supportive role to the wetlands. I concur with you that the 99 elevation has been tied in, but the grades are a little tight there, and it's right up to the limit of work. The retaining wall concept was in my original set of peer review comments, and again in my second set. So that's an element of project design that I think has been important from the get-go.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Kevin, any further comments?
No, it's probably just time to vote.
Okay. Dave, any further comments on your end? Yes. Amanda?
Nope.
Okay. Dave, any further comments on the
No.
retaining wall proposal?
No, I'm sorry. I agree with the comments that have been made. So I have nothing to add to them.
Okay, Andy, with your permission, can we close this hearing now? Okay, thumbs up from Andy. Okay, I move that we close hearing for Lot 1 on West Street.
Okay. I will second it. Dave will second.
Okay, any final discussion? All in favor of closing the hearing? Again, after we close, there'll be no new information conveyed by anybody. 1, 2, 3. Okay, all in favor of closing the hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Nay. Okay, hearing for Lot 1 is closed. Okay, Amanda, let's, if you would, be kind enough to open Lot 2.
Okay. So Lot 2, NOI 165-0348, filed by William Chapdelaine for proposed construction of a single-family house and associated work within BVW buffer zone with regards to Lot 2, West Street, and known as MAP 3D1 in the town of Granby. Okay. That is
Okay.
now open.
Okay, Emily, any comment, actually, AJ, any comments on your end on Lot 2, sir?
think he wanted to ditto what he said last time.
Okay, no
He
worries.
said it counted for both
That's
sides.
right, okay, right. Okay, Emily, fire away on lot 2, please.
Okay, so similar to my starting point for lot 1, do all the commissioners now have the most recent revision for lot 2 up on their screens are available to them?
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
And I have papers all over the table that I'm trying to grab. So Heather's response to my supplementary review came in on July 10th. She summarizes that the plan revisions include that they are now proposing to use the wire back siltation fencing. That's a type of erosion control that we typically see when we're going to have a significant amount of exposed soils or there's concerns about slopes. It also states that they've now revised the grading. So there's a 25-foot undisturbed buffer zone. So that's part of the evolution of this project. I think at one point we were as close as 12 feet in one area. So she's got at least a minimum of 25. I had a question on the last revision, the response regarding the driveway access and how the driveway would be graded was provided by Ms. Comey narratively, but it wasn't depicted correctly on the site plans. There was an issue with the line type. It was coming up looking like an existing contour rather than a proposed. So if you want to zoom in on the driveway now, you'll see that she's showing the proposed grading along the shoulder there. That was a question that had come up during the prior public hearing. And then there again, a lot of the same comments as far as questions regarding the steepness of the slope, changes in the watershed pattern for surface flow and runoff, and just in general, pollutants being able to transport into the protected bordering vegetated wetland, and also the concept of the commission having the authority under 1053(1) to review cumulative impacts to the buffer zone. So what's interesting and important to remember about this project is what we're looking at now. Can everybody hear me okay?
I can.
Oh, yes, you're loud and clear.
Okay. You can hear me, good. So as we've talked and as it's been discussed with town council, the 13 point something acres that are the parent parcel for these two lots are actually the remaining lands from a much larger parcel that has a long history of orders of conditions, as we've already discussed. And so over the decades, there's been this piecemeal development of the buffer zone surrounding this complex of wetlands and streams and vernal pool habitat. And to Amanda's point, if you look at the order of condition that was issued in, I believe it was 94, the commission at that time said permanent concrete markers shall be installed at 3 points on the boundary of the inner riparian zone on each residential lot to be subdivided in the future. The location of these markers need to be approved by the commission, noted on a plan, so on and so forth. The inner riparian zone shall remain permanently undisturbed. So although we've already discussed, perhaps ad nauseum, that this is not a perennial stream, but an intermittent stream, there was evidence of some forethought by the commission back in '94, trying to rein in on the amount of upland, jurisdictional upland, to be lost by future subdevelopment for residential housing. So, looking at lot 2, I think it's a challenge to look at that, with tunnel vision. You currently have the 2 NOIs before you, plus you have the history of other projects and the commission's view on buffer zone development based at that time. And I think that those are probably the primary issues that I had spoken to in my last round of comments. And I know Heather didn't have a tremendous amount of time to respond.
Emily, did you opine at all on the temperature rise within the BVW as a result of tree canopy loss?
Yeah, so I mean, we had, thank you, Bill, for circling back and getting me focused. So the commission had asked the applicant and their representative to take a look at tree canopy and how it would affect, its removal would affect the temperature within the protected wetland. And we did receive a response, but I wasn't quite clear on the rationale behind that. And it doesn't look like Ms. Comey had an opportunity to provide any additional information. I think that the thought process as it was conveyed in the response was that it was a groundwater fed wetland, and that maybe that would have some impact on the temperature. But again, I didn't quite see the tie-in between that and the ambient temperature within the BVW. There was also some discussion about some additional, not additional, the remaining canopy, and the applicant had presented that there may be some increased growth associated with the clearing's effect on the unaltered area. I would bring to the commission's attention that the clearing along the buffer zone associated with the T-series wetland is going to result in an increase in the setting sun, the afternoon sun. So, for that for that buffer zone and that ecosystem, there is going to be a temperature gradient change in the afternoon there, as opposed to the cool morning sun.
Right. Yeah, without doing any detailed calculations, which of course could be done as well.
Can I mention something there?
Yeah, go ahead, Andy.
We but we tagged every tree. We sent a surveyor out there, and there were not a lot of trees in the buffer zone, from what I understood, or within 50 feet or something. There were not a lot of trees that were even within the area that we're talking about, right? We're just talking about cutting down the trees next to the area you're talking about.
Well, the point was, AJ, that they were asked to do caliper of tree, which I think was provided, species of tree. The height was not provided. Your surveyor could have shot with the theodolite, could have obtained the height, and then estimated the canopy. The canopy area, the projected area of the canopy is the key parameter. If you know the projected area of the canopy and you know the height of the tree, then you can do your shading analysis. And we didn't see any shading analysis.
Okay.
Thank you. Emily, anything else on your end?
Shading analysis. Got it.
So the Anything else on my end? I think I've hit all of the main points. I'm certainly if the commission has any specific questions about the comments, I'm happy to delve deeper into them.
Okay, Andy, any questions for Emily specifically?
No, I appreciate her getting her analysis over to us in the time frame. Unfortunately, we had like 14 hours to turn ours around. So why did you guys wait 10 days to approve her?
That's when I received notification from the town treasurer. And Emily was not obliged to start work until we got specific confirmation the check was in the account.
I dropped off the check literally the day after.
That's what I understand. I understand that that was the case.
That really handcuffs us after 5 months of continuance.
No, I
I know that
understand.
nobody here cares about that, but it's fine.
Well, no, I think we have to amend our policies going forward with respect to that.
Yeah.
Thank you, though. Okay, Amanda, any commentary on your end? This is lot 2.
No, I don't have any additional comments.
Okay. Dave?
Bill, I don't really have any additional comments at this time. I'm looking at everything and I have nothing to add.
Okay. Kev?
No comments.
Okay. Ed, you must have something.
Not really, other than the grading around the house, again, it's kind of unrealistic. It looks to me, it's like a 20% slope over there. It looks even steeper than the other house. I don't understand why the entire place is being filled around the building, but again, I don't see it, but I think this is gonna come back to us as an amendment also. My other comments would be if we do move forward with this project as order of conditions, that the monuments be placed for relatively quickly, that the developer or the current applicant install the monuments for any future landowner. And in perpetuity, the deed restriction for the going forward, that no one shall infringe further into that buffer zone or the limit of work area. And at least that'll clear that up for the future generations. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, the way I see the driveway is kind of steep around the house, and then you've got the area as you approach West Street. It's not clearly graded, and I do see the contours that connect from one side to the other. But
Ed, do you have a blow up of the PDF showing the contouring in front of you?
yeah, I'm actually right now looking at the PDF file.
Okay,
that was
take a
emailed
look.
out.
Take a look at existing contour 95. It's southwest of the leach field. It's in little tiny font. And it hooks around and it comes in within 1 foot of proposed contour 97. So that's going to bump that fill out again, probably another 10 feet, not insurmountable, but that should be corrected. Yeah, and again, that's going to take that work line. You're going to push that work line out too to the northwest. But again, it's not insurmountable, but it should be corrected.
Yeah, and again, without a real actual house being proposed, I know this is just a building envelope.
Yeah.
I think that whoever's coming back with a building permit, they're gonna have to do an amendment, and that may take some time to get the amendment approved.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So,
Now, AJ, okay, go ahead and continue with your comments.
Just to interject, because this was a point of confusion with this plan too. There's a lot going on here, a lot of boundaries and buffers and contours. If you look at that 95 contour, it is actually heading towards the wetland in the area of flag V12. What's confusing is that it ties in with a very similar line type that's describing the 25-foot buffer zone.
Now, Emily, let me make a comment. I thought that originally myself, but if you look at that 95, it actually turns right. When it when it touches that other line in the vicinity of V13, V12, it actually goes to the northeast. And you
Correct.
follow it around to number 3 in a circle and number 9 in a circle, and you'll see that that ties in to a circular contour 95. So that is the existing 95 contour.
All right, well, that is a point of confusion because on another version of the plan, it might be the original one, I believe that 95 is shown going in another direction.
Well,
So, but I see what you're saying, that
you know, that's an error in contouring. And Ed, you and I know, as you more than me, there's 1,000 things to do on a plan and you can't get them all right. But this is kind of a critical one, in my opinion.
No, I can follow the contour 95 around. It's just line types and line thicknesses and there, like Emily says, there's a lot going on the plan. You have to study it quite to.
Right.
to-
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay. Ed, any other comments on your end?
I think the same comments as for lot 1, just heard, you know, we should talk about fertilizers and pesticides within that buffer zone and because it will eventually wash down into the
Mhm.
resource area. Not properly applied.
Right.
So those are my same comments from lot 1. I think just add them to this.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I guess anyone else? I guess I'm up next, and then actually we have some neighbors that might want to check in. I think Ms. Condon and Gabe Pula might want to check in a little bit. Again, much of the same comments as last time. There are some errors in contouring. They're not insurmountable, but we picked them up. The buffer setback, again, you got a 6-to-1 slope. I think they tightened this one up to 5-to-1, which is 20% slope in proximity to a wetland. Same argument, wetland buffer zone guidebook, pollution prevention, 1053-1, la da da da, failure to protect the adjacent BW. That's my opinion. Now, this one's a little different than lot 1. As I just stipulated, we got a shading loss concern. And we asked Heather specifically for some calculation-based shading analyses. And in my opinion, it's incomplete. She hasn't yet finished that work, in my opinion. Now, we're on the initial site visit. Amanda, you and I, and who else was Dave? You were out there as well, weren't you, this spring?
Yes, I was out there with you folks.
Okay. Now, when we walked out on the site, did it not make sense to eliminate the embankment that the house was on and lower the house? Would that not have been a reasonable thing to do?
Well, I think when we walked the site, that was our takeaway as to why the house and the septic are sitting on in a mound, basically. And Heather was with us, and she said the whole purpose was to eliminate the need for a pumping station into the septic, because I guess the septic would not be allowed, or at least at my understanding, the septic would not be allowed to be at grade in that particular locale because of the high water table, the hydrology, I don't know, but the septic had to be elevated, had to be raised.
Right.
And if you put the house down on grade, you would have to pump then your sewage, your sanitary.
Well, I think if you know, ideally from a conservation perspective, put the house on grade. However, then if you've got a 7 or 8 foot basement, you're going to have sump pumps running in your basement quite a bit. And Andy, I think that's probably the rationale on this one. Your water table is pretty darn high here, isn't it? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So that was the rationale for that. So I can see that. Again, nobody wants to buy a house without a basement in the Northeast. You know, down south, yeah, but not up here. Okay. And again, I think retaining walls would be a negotiating point on this, but I can see retaining walls on this property are going to be certainly a challenge. Certainly a challenge. All right.
Yeah, I don't see retaining walls helping at any point on this, to be honest with you. Not on this site.
Well, you know, the thing you could do, which would be somewhat absurd, is to build the house with no fill going up. Essentially have your basement level be open to the air. So you'd essentially have an
Oh, that-
open basement. And that
Be
would just
slab
look-
on.
Yeah, well, it'd be a slab, it'd be a little different than a slab on grade. You could actually have like you could have a half
Raised
buried basement. Yeah, you could have a raised cellar, a little raised cellar just to stay out of the water table. But the basement wouldn't be good for anything but putting your car. You just could drive your car in there and that would be about it. So your living space would be up on the second floor, if you will. But I can see that's an unwieldy solution. Okay. All right.
So,
Any
again, with
closing points on yours? Then we'll turn it to the folks in the audience.
No.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Pula, any comments on your end?
I just want to thank everybody for kind of looking at every which way on this, on both projects. And, you know, there's a lot to look at with these. They're not your norm. You know, I know you guys went out in the spring and now, you know, after these 20 something days of rain, you know, I can't imagine, I could just picture a house up there almost tilting or sliding into the stream after the amount of rain we've had. So anyway, thank you. You've done a fine job and continue on, and thank you. That's all.
Okay. Okay, Gabe. Thank you. Ms. Lemke, any comments on your behalf?
No, I'm just here listening and seeing what we have going on. I'm echoing Gabe. I mean, I'm sure with all this rain that it's pretty wet out there, and I'm sure there's standing water out there. I mean, I wouldn't want to build my house on a lake, and I'm sure someone else doesn't, but hey, that's on them.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Alea, any comments on your behalf? Ms. Condon? No, I guess she stepped away. Okay, Andy, you want us to close the hearing, I trust?
Yes, please.
Okay, okay, folks, no new information shall be entered as of right now. I move we close hearing for lot 2.
I'll second it. Dave will second it.
Any final discussion? Or forever hold your peace? Okay, all in favor of closing?
Aye.
Hi.
Okay. Okay. All right, they're closed out. Now we have a couple other agenda items, don't we tonight, Amanda?
Yes, we do.
I believe so, but I
Yeah, why-
don't think
why-
we're gonna have
why don't
anyone
we-
here.
Why don't we at least finish this out? I move then, my thought is, why don't we, and I know we rarely do this, but given the lengthy issues and the time we've all put in on this, I think it would not be appropriate to have to make an instant decision on this one, because we've spent a hell of a lot of time and everyone's spent a hell of a lot of money on this.
Mm-hmm.
So let's ask the question, what's 21 days from today? Dave, what's the 21 days from today calendar wise?
That's what I'm looking at right now, Bill.
Okay.
7.
I'm
3
guessing
weeks
it's,
now.
I'm guessing it's the 3rd of August.
It is the 3rd of August.
Okay.
That's our
So-
deadline.
Yeah, that's our deadline. So would you guys want to meet maybe on the 27th for a brief meeting to vote on this? Would that make sense? We can at least have 2 weeks to think about it.
Yeah, at least 2 weeks is fine. That
Yes.
2 weeks out would be fine.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
know what, I
available on
don't,
the 27th.
I would, yeah, I'd feel uncomfortable pushing it to the 3rd.
No.
I don't think we could do that on the 3rd because we have to actually issue it by the 21st.
Okay, okay, all right. Look, so so I move then, we'll have a special hearing on the 27th to vote on this particular matter. Okay, the hearing is closed, so there's no continuance, but we will vote on this matter on the 27th. So I move we do that at 7 o'clock, I guess. 7 o'clock, okay with everyone?
Yep,
Is
that'd be good for me.
Okay,
I'm good with that.
I think
But is that gonna be-
okay.
Would that be a virtual meeting again, Bill?
Yeah, that'll be a virtual meeting.
Okay.
So Kathy's gonna have to post it. Emily, would you be kind enough just to send an email to Heather and AJ to this effect?
Certainly.
Okay, yeah, just make sure we're all on the same page here, but I think that's the reasonable thing to do, given the time and effort everybody's put in on this. Again, I don't think it'd be appropriate to come to a rapid conclusion right at this point in time.
Right.
Bill,
I
is that
agree.
the only thing on the agenda?
That will be, yeah,
Bill?
for the 27th, yeah, for the 27th, and then we'll have our regular meeting, which is, when did we say that one was gonna be?
That was the August 10th is what we
The 10th,
announced.
yeah. Okay,
At
so we'll have a
7
real
p.m.
short one on the 27th, then we'll have a regular meeting on the 10th. And we
Yep.
won't entertain any other, we will not entertain any other people on the 27th, period. I don't want any building of people coming in or anything. This is solely for this particular project or projects.
Yes, but the
Yeah,
public
I
is
agree.
allowed to observe.
Oh, yes, absolutely correct, absolutely.
Just
correct.
checking. You said not to entertain anyone else, so I wanted to
Oh, no,
make
no,
it
I mean
clear.
entertain any other applicants, any applicants.
Yes,
applicants,
okay.
excuse
Just
me.
so the butters know, you are welcome to sit in
Yeah,
and
oh, of
hear
course,
on the
of course.
vote. It is
Nope.
legally open meeting.
Yeah,
Right, but
okay,
with no
so-
comment.
Okay, so I
Yes,
moved,
correct.
Dave seconded, and we voted in favor of having it on the 27th, or we
Right.
haven't?
We gotta take a
27th.
roll call. Take a
Yeah,
vote.
let's do
We vote on
Yeah,
that?
let's do it again. I move we meet July 27th at 7 PM for the express service or purpose of voting on Lot 1 and Lot 2 West Street.
Dave seconds
Second.
it. Or
Okay.
Amanda.
Any other comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right, good.
So
that's-
Bill, let's, for clarification too, at the meeting, it's gonna be a vote for the order of conditions or approval or denial.
Yeah. So we have to
Either-
actually start thinking about what you would write on your order of conditions or start thinking about how you'd be crafting your denial. That's the whole purpose of this. Give us some time to do a little bit of writing.
And we need to have that we need to have some of that stuff. We gotta do it at that meeting. We can't,
That's right. Yeah, it's got to
Okay,
at least be in bullet form. As long as it's in bullet form, then we can do the fancy writing later. But let's at least have the bullet points in order for the 27th.
so each commissioner will think about it and talk and either jot down their points.
Yeah, and again, we can't intercommunicate. Emily, does that make sense the way we're doing this?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for all your help.
Exactly.
Okay,
All right.
okay,
Sounds good,
thank
thank you.
goodness. That's over.
Bill,
Okay, man,
just,
go ahead.
just a quick question. Does, since Dave and I are just associate members, does our vote even count? Since we're not technically commissioners?
No, I think I've talked to Kathy about this. I believe you are both voting members at this point in time. As of the 1st of July, at least. I think actually before you were voting members. So as far as I'm concerned, you're a voting member. How do you guys
We need
feel?
quorum. So,
Yeah, and again, it helps us meet quorum, otherwise we'd never have quorum.
yeah,
Out of necessity. It's out of necessity.
yeah.
So a good point though, Kevin. Again, I'll talk to Kathy about that just to ensure that you and David are full voting members. But thank you for your concern about that.
All the documentation, Bill, right now, and I think this is what Kevin's talking about, shows our term expiring June 31st, or June 30th, rather. So,
Oh, and you weren't reappointed?
right,
Oh,
that's what Kevin is talking about. And Bill is saying it should have just rolled into a full commissioner starting July 1st. Unfortunately, nobody's talked to me other than Bill, and we don't have any paperwork to approve that. So that's what Kevin is referring to.
I think we just keep moving forward with what we have.
I agree. I agree 100%. Actually, when was the last select board meeting? Does anybody know? Yeah, if we had the minutes of the select board meeting, Kathy, if you're listening, if you could look into that, that'd be wonderful.
I don't think she's listening.
Yeah,
She never gave me permission to use the computer.
Oh,
So
okay, no worries.
He's
All right.
just,
Okay, we got a couple other things. Go ahead.
oh, also, I just want to double check. So Kevin, you said you couldn't make it to the next meeting, the 27th?
I can sneak in. I can give 20 minutes.
Okay.
I can.
I want
I'll
to
have-
see to make sure we have a quorum, because if we set
Yeah,
this date,
we're gonna
we
need
want to
your
make sure
vote.
we
Yeah,
have a
we're gonna
quorum
need
here.
your vote. We'll need your
I
vote.
can. Yeah.
So we need 4, right?
Yes.
That's right. We need 4 for quorum.
Yeah. So
Well,
if
if Kevin,
you, me,
if Kevin
Ed,
only has 20 minutes, let's
Dave.
give him the first 20 minutes or something.
well, I think the,
Sounds like a plan.
yeah.
Well, yeah, we got.
As long as there's no one else with a conflict, we'll be fine, no matter what happens. So I think we're good. Yeah. Okay. So next item on the agenda. Right? Is that what we're doing now?
Yes.
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 Alrighty. So this is the continued filing, NOI 1650340, filed by Nathan Booton for proposed driveway culvert with regards to property located on Center Street and known as map 8A10 in the town of Granby. Do we have anyone here for that project? Hearing
Dave,
seeing
Dave,
nothing.
you're gonna shoot me, Dave, because I promised you I would notify him in prompt order about the upcoming continuance, and I did not do so. I sent him an email at about 5:30 tonight, so I was very tardy on that.
Yeah.
So I guess what we're gonna have to do, just in the spirit of what we've been doing, is just continuing it once again.
Right.
Okay. So
Make a motion to
I
continue.
make a motion to continue.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
But Dave, please pester me again. And I'll send Nathan another follow-up to see if he wants to continue next month. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's my fault.
You're welcome. No problem.
Okay, very good.
Hi, everyone. This is Emily. I was hanging in just in case Nathan was here this evening, but since that's been continued, I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight, and I hope everybody has a good rest of their week.
Okay,
Thank
Emily,
you.
thank you for all your help. Great job. Thank you.
Take
Yeah,
care.
thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next one. This is another continuation of an NOI. It has not yet been given a file number. It was filed by Mike P.O., PC Development and LLC for proposed construction of a residential subdivision and associated stormwater management structures. The roadway will require a wetland fill and open channel crossing with regards to property located on Carver Street and known as map 16B 15.4 and 16 in the town of Granby. This has been on continuation for a very long time now. Is
Right.
there anyone here to update us on this project? Hearing and seeing none, I'm going to make a motion that we continue.
Second.
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 Okay.
Yes. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
And this is another one. I got to send Don Frederick an email to see what's going on. But again, given the fact that I think they got that conservation restriction finally ironed out, they should be moving forward on this. And by the way,
I think that's the
talked-
next item.
yeah, I talked to Colleen Aberdale down at the Board of Health, and they have not done any perk tests at all on these parcels.
Oh,
None. So they're got plenty of work to do. Believe me, they got plenty of work to do.
well, it's gonna be hard to get a truck into that treed area. And there's creeks to cross and everything, so.
Well, you know, you cut some tree. Did you see in, I think it was in Japan, north of Tokyo, they took down a bunch of trees and they had this tremendous landslide a couple of weeks ago?
I
Well,
didn't
saw
see
the
that.
I saw the landslide. I didn't know what caused it.
Yeah, because they took out about 20 acres of trees.
So,
Yep.
gotta be
Well, I hope
careful.
that doesn't happen here. I suspect it won't.
I mean, honestly, the way things are done, who knows? It's not good. Next one on the agenda, is that same PC development for the conservation restriction approval and signed meeting with the select board May 18th. That has all been completed, and I think that can get removed, correct?
Yes. I believe so.
Alrighty. So we'll have that removed from the agenda. The next one is the continued RDA for Ashley Bowman. Applicant to see whether work depicted on the plans and or map reference are subject to the Wetlands Protection Act with regards to property located on Bachelor Street and known as Lot 6 on plan book 244, page 105 in the town of Granby. We still have not heard anything from Ashley Bowman ever since this was first submitted.
That's not on
So
the agenda. Oh, wait, never mind.
I
it's
thought we
combined.
agreed, I thought we agreed to get rid of this one 2 months ago. It should
Yeah,
have
we did.
disappeared 2 months ago.
Kathy gave me the Word document on this agenda and then she asked me to update it. So let me correct it. I think she's
Okay.
been
Yeah.
confused.
Actually,
Basically just
I mean,
erase 6.
Yeah, it's been
Whole
done.
six.
I'm reading the notes that we did last time and it was supposed to be taken off. So this is
Yeah.
not supposed to be here this time.
I
Oh,
think
I
we
know.
have, if you
But
have the
it's
book
there.
and page, Amanda, could you call up on Mass GIS? I want to know exactly where that lot is. I got a feeling it's near Aldridge Lake, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
Okay,
How do you
is
know?
it near,
That was
is
cool.
it near the power line easement, Ed?
The plan doesn't show it. Yes, it is to the east of the power lines.
Okay,
This was the
I
farm.
remember, yeah, I remember vaguely Al Weiss was involved and
No.
then Al wasn't involved and we never heard from Ashley Bowman again. And this was about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you could send a denial based on the fact that they didn't show.
Yeah, I got a feeling that their deal may have fallen through, the PNS may have fallen through or something. But again, this one shall be removed, in my opinion.
I don't know. Has anyone been on Amherst Street lately? Because it looks like there's a bunch of things happening up there, but I don't know if I felt like we started permitting and then didn't finish.
Those were approved. The ones near Aldrich, yeah, they did
Okay,
get
good.
approved.
All
Oh,
right,
yeah,
never mind that.
there was a lot just north of the bridge on the right.
Mm-hmm.
And I drive by there when I go to Atkins a couple times a week. And even after the rainstorms, there's nothing getting into the river. So that's a good,
Awesome.
good sign. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
And
That's good.
again, Dave and I went down to Easton Street. Didn't we, Dave, a couple of weeks ago?
Yes, that was Easton Street that we went to and they were doing a good job cleaning up after the rain. So
I mean, we got about 10 inches recently.
Really?
yeah,
It's insane.
altogether, it's the tropical rainforest we have.
Yeah. Okay. Last item on our agenda, approve sign renewal gravel permits, everyone's favorite. Do we have anything to do for that right now? Or are we still waiting for next year?
Well, I
You know,
think we
my
are
t-
completed up to 2020, Bill, is what, when we met in January or February, we were completing last year. And you said
That's
we're
my
supposed,
understanding.
and you
I
said
don't-
we're supposed to do it every year.
Yeah, and I don't believe we've received any documents to actually do that.
We need
Okay.
to
We only
receive.
have a couple here from Milwaukee.
What?
You know, my thought is we'll do that when the weather gets cooler.
Yeah,
I mean, it'd just
Makes-
be nice as long as we have the paperwork lined up, then we'll be
Right.
able to start scheduling and doing them. Just so
Right,
we don't
right.
end up with 3 backlogged years of
right.
out permits.
Yeah,
What-
we
What's
don't want to
what's
get.
the
caught
what's
in
the
that.
paperwork? Can you explain it quickly for me? What paperwork do we need from them? Or
We don't, they need to send us a request, right?
Yes,
How that works?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. So they send us
haven't sent
requests and then we
anything.
go out and we approve it.
So they haven't
basically.
sent us anything.
Yeah, we have
You
two
know what the-
applications here.
Oh, Ed's trying to say something.
You know what the
Yeah, we
fee
have
is?
two
in Granby?
applications.
Oh, go ahead, Ed. I was
What's
gonna
that,
say the fee in Granby for a gravel permit is $100, fixed fee.
Oh,
Regardless
Yeah,
of whether you remove 100 yards of material or 100,000 yards of material, it's $100.
The Rockies and Andrix permit again.
Okay. So we have 2 ready to go.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right.
what was it, Naraki, and who was the other one, Ed?
Andrix. Ted Andrix.
Hondrick, okay.
Excuse me.
Okay. And does the paperwork have like phone numbers and contact info?
It does.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, it's the typical phone numbers, I think, in the Rockies. Let me see.
Well, I've had issues in the past getting a hold of people.
I remember that. I don't know how we managed to pull that off this past
There
year.
are phone numbers on the application.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm gonna start heading out towards the police station to return the key. So, this is
Okay.
all administrative stuff. So
Okay.
I'll
Yeah, we're
listen
pretty
in.
much
My
done.
battery's starting to die.
Yeah, we can close out. It's 9:04. We'll close out at 9:04.
Okay.
Hey, thanks everyone for bearing with this, all this baloney tonight on the lots, but that's what we're getting paid the big bucks for.
There you go.
Yeah.
This is a short night.
Thankless volunteer work.
Yeah, not bad.
Thank
Yeah.
you, everybody.
Where's Wenda been? Is she okay?
Yeah, she's in the process of moving, so she's emptying her house, which is taking, I think she's still working as well, but she's also emptying her house, so that's taking a lot of her time. I've run over there a couple times to get her signature on various documents, so I think she's hoping to be able to move to Munson, where she has a house waiting for her. It's a family home, this fall.
Oh, so once she moves, then you can't be, she won't be a Granby resident and eligible to be on the
I don't
commission.
know if you need to be, I don't know if you need to.
There's a funny provision in the state regulations for committee membership. And there's a little known loophole that you don't necessarily have to be a resident of a particular town to be on a particular town's committee.
Okay.
And I've been told this by 2 lawyers. Maybe they're both wrong, but I've been told it twice now.
No, I'm pretty sure it's right.
Yeah.
She also.
You just have to be appointed.
She also told me she wasn't planning on continuing her membership here. So
Oh, okay.
I didn't know if she told you anything, Bill, but she told me that. So,
Yeah.
so until she moves, she might show up, but.
Yeah, so if you live out of town, even temporarily for 6 months or a year or 2 years, you can still commute to Granby every month and come to, and again, with VM, what the heck, you can be in Tahiti and check in.
Yeah, yeah. So she could attend if she chose to, but that was what I understood. And I didn't know, Bill, if you wanted to ask her or.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to her because she's been a great asset. She's been on the commission, I think, since 2005, if I'm not mistaken. She's been on the commission for 16 years. Yeah, she's done a great job. She's
very proactive, and she's
Knowledgeable.
I get a lot
Very
of information from her.
Oh, yes. Very, very good.
Her and Amanda.
Well, I
Yeah,
hope
so
she sticks through her term until it expires, at least.
When do the terms expire?
Oh, well, everyone's kind of on a rotating schedule, so you get a 3-year term, but
you
they
get a
have it staggered so that everyone doesn't expire at the same time.
Well, that's
And
a
then
good
they do reappointments. And that's often how it is in municipalities where they allow for people to stay on when they move. They try to keep people on through the end of their term because
Right,
it keeps that stability within the department and the
Right.
continuity of commissioners. And there's something called like the Mullen rule, where if someone like misses more than one meeting or something, you can't vote, and that alters quorum. Things get really weird. So it helps keep the process moving forward.
Yeah.
Well, this would be an argument to keep the virtual meetings also, because she was in Munson and she wanted to attend. She could do that and then just come to site visits when she wanted to participate.
When needed.
Yeah. So
We'll
anyway,
see. It
I think
depends on her own commitment.
Bill will follow up, so.
Well, we don't want to get into a situation like Hadley. I don't know if you've read the newspaper, but there's a big brouhaha in Hadley. I think their chair was let go. 2 other members quit, and their
on their conservation commission.
Yeah, the conservation director, Janice Stone, who I've known for years. I think she just resigned this morning or yesterday. So.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Are they paid commissioners by the town of Hadley?
No.
No, no.
Commissioners are all volunteers.
Yeah, Janice gets paid. She gets paid pretty well.
Yeah, that's an
Commissioners
agent.
are all volunteers.
Yes.
Even in the larger cities like Framingham and stuff?
Yeah, so the thing is the board of commissioners is an appointed board. So they're appointed by the mayor, city councilors, selectmen, however your system is within your municipality. But then
Right.
you might have staff. Staff is paid. They do not have voting rights. They do all the administrative work and like legwork. So they help to support the Conservation Commission, but they don't actually have any. I mean, they have some authority, but only the authority granted to them by the Conservation Commission, I guess.
Right.
The best way to put it. So yeah, commissioners, no pay, all volunteers.
Okay, good to know.
Okay, guys, well, listen, let's do some deep thinking on these lots 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Deep thinking, and we'll reconvene on the 27th, but again,
Did I understand, Bill, did I understand, Emily, we can't discuss this? We have to create these comments on our own?
Correct. We
Yeah.
can't have more than like 2 commissioners.
Yeah, we
discuss
can't, yeah.
outside of
Oh.
open meeting law.
Oh, like,
Yeah, we can't meet either virtually or in person to meet the quorum requirements. Has to be less than quorum.
okay.
Yeah.
So 2 people can talk.
That's essentially what that means. That's essentially.
Yeah.
what that means.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So so we need to, no matter how we vote, we need to have a prepared statement.
Correct.
Well, I think we have to have sound reasoning for whatever way we're gonna vote, Kev.
Yeah.
We have to have sound reasoning. And if we vote in the affirmative, we have to be able to prepare a rational set of orders of condition for the project. And if we vote to
solid set.
deny, we have to have a sound reason for denial that will withstand a DEP superseding challenge.
I think
I've been
Emily
dealing with these a lot, so. Yeah.
Emily gives us a lot of information, and her response letters, her peer review comments, I think are very valuable.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And this will give us time to catch up on those.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
There's
why,
a lot of hidden
personally, I think the retaining wall option on lot 1 seems to be
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good
a
one.
good
I don't know
idea.
if you can discuss that right now.
Yeah, a good idea.
All right.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, guys, it's
Kevin didn't say
9:11.
anything.
Yeah.
And then if you vote to adjourn, we can do it.
Oh, yeah. I make a motion to close the hearing at 9:12.
I'll
Second.
second that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Great.